Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, right off the bat, we kind of have to acknowledge the deep, rich irony of what we're doing right now. You're currently staring at a screen watching me explain why staring at screens, watching movies, and even playing video games, well, they just don't hit the exact same way they used to, do they? But stick with me here because understanding the mechanics behind this feeling, it's going to completely change how you view your daily habits. Let's just be honest with ourselves for a second. Why does nothing excite you anymore? You've probably been feeling this, right? This creeping sense of apathy lately? And look, it's not just that reading, studying, or working have lost their appeal. I mean, that's kind of expected. Nobody jumps out of bed thrilled to do spreadsheets. But the crazy part, the part that actually feels a bit unnerving, is that even your escapes feel completely dull. The YouTube rabbit holes, the blockbuster movies, the video games that used to keep you up all night, they just leave you feeling empty and frankly just bored. Okay, let's dive into this. Think back to just 10 years ago. You probably would have sat through a 2-hour movie without even thinking about touching your phone. It was completely enough to just sit back and watch the story unfold. Now, today, we're literally at a point where a 20-second TikTok somehow isn't enough to hold our attention unless there's a video of Subway Surfers or Minecraft parkour playing right underneath it. It's completely absurd when you really step back and look at it. One screen, one video, one narrative just isn't enough anymore. We constantly need this layered distraction. Section 1. The motivation myth. Are you really just lazy? You see, this is the false suspect we usually blame when everything in our lives feels relentlessly boring. When we can't bring ourselves to do basic tasks, or, when we close the video game after 5 minutes because we just can't be bothered, our immediate instinct is to look inward. We self-diagnose and we tell ourselves, I'm just lazy and I need more motivation. We actually start to think we're fundamentally broken. We think we just lack the willpower or the drive to get off the couch and engage with life the way everyone else seems to. But an insight from a better mind points out something deeply profound that reframes this entirely. The quote goes, I don't actually think motivation is the problem. And we're going to completely debunk this laziness myth today. Listen, a lack of drive, a lack of willpower, or some inherent flaw in your character, none of that is the actual root cause of this chronic boredom epidemic you're experiencing. There is something much more mechanical, much more biological happening right inside your head. Section 2. The baseline shift. How our brains adapt. Now, what's really interesting about this is how it introduces the idea that our brain's very own survival mechanisms are secretly working against us in the modern digital world. It all comes down to sensory adaptation. That's the brain's incredible ability to adapt and shift its baseline expectations based on constant exposure. Your brain is brilliant at adapting. I mean, it's literally one of the primary reasons human beings are so incredibly good at surviving in diverse environments. But this exact same evolutionary advantage means your internal reward system has slowly shifted its baseline for what it considers normal. Think about the very first time you ate something incredibly spicy. It was probably a completely overwhelming experience, right? Your mouth is on fire, your eyes are watering, it's intense. But then, imagine you keep eating that exact same spicy dish repeatedly, day after day. Eventually, your brain and your taste buds adapt. It just doesn't feel that spicy anymore. So what happens next? Well, you have to add even more spice, maybe a hotter sauce, just to feel anything at all. The food itself didn't magically become less spicy. You adapted. You built up a tolerance to that intense, overwhelming stimulus. Section 3. The overstimulation trap. The digital spice. Just look at how we're constantly, almost obsessively, layering stimulation over the most basic, mundane daily tasks. When you're waiting in line for coffee, you aren't just standing there, you're scrolling on your phone. When you're walking from point A to point B, you're watching a YouTube video or firing up some distraction. When you're working or studying, you absolutely must have lo-fi music, a Twitch stream, or a podcast playing in the background. There's almost never a waking moment where we aren't pumping ourselves full of stimulation. And because of this constant feed, our brains are perpetually expecting an incredibly high level of excitement all the time. And this brilliantly illustrates our core problem. Imagine you've been eating that intensely spicy food every single day for months, and then someone suddenly hands you a piece of perfectly plain, unseasoned boiled chicken. That plain chicken, that represents ordinary life. It's reading a physical book. It's doing your homework. It's sitting quietly on a park bench. You don't need more motivation to eat the plain chicken. Your taste has simply changed. Your baseline shifted. When your brain compares ordinary everyday tasks to the constant digital spice it's gotten used to, ordinary life suddenly feels unbearably dull. It's not that life itself became more boring, it's that everything else became artificially hyperstimulating. This traps us in what we can call the overstimulation loop. Let's trace how this cycle works. First, you feel a slight pang of boredom, so naturally you reach for your phone to escape it. Your brain gets a quick, easy hit of stimulation. But because of sensory adaptation, your baseline shifts just a tiny bit higher to accommodate that new normal. Now, because your baseline is higher, normal life feels even more boring than it did before. So what do? You reach for your phone again. It's a highly frustrating, self-reinforcing cycle that traps you into constantly seeking just a little more excitement than whatever you're currently doing. You're basically running on a treadmill that just keeps speeding up.
Section 4. Rediscovering true boredom. Resetting your brain.
Let's move on and see how this builds into an incredibly relieving realization. My brain wasn't broken, it was just adapting. Seriously, if you've been beating yourself up for months or even years, stop. You are not inherently lazy. You are not malfunctioning. Your brain is doing exactly what millions of years of human evolution designed it to do. It's simply adapting to an artificial environment that is constantly fighting, screaming, and grabbing for your attention.
So the crucial point is this. If your brain can adapt one way, it can absolutely adapt back. An internal reset is entirely possible. You don't need to force yourself to be highly motivated through sheer willpower. You just need to slowly lower your stimulation baseline back down to normal, healthy levels. You have to intentionally let your brain resensitize itself to the plain chicken of everyday life. You just gotta let the digital spice wear off.
Which leaves us with one final provocative question for you. When was the last time you were actually completely bored? I mean, truly bored. Not scrolling through a feed, not listening to a podcast while doing chores, not quickly checking your notifications at a red light, just sitting there, present, bored. We've gotten so incredibly good at escaping boredom at the absolute slightest hint of discomfort that we've almost forgotten what it actually feels like to just exist in a quiet moment. So my challenge to you after this explainer ends is this. Stop escaping. Sit with true boredom today. Give your brain a fighting chance to lower its baseline, and you just might find that you can appreciate the subtle beauty of ordinary things again.